talk about the best and worst of what we saw, heard. It can really be anything. Nick, I'll tee you up here first. What was the best thing you saw today at practice?
Yeah, so in the 7-on-7 period, I thought there was a lot of good throws from Caleb Williams, but the one that stood out to me the most was just a dart to DJ Moore. It was near the Caleb's left, near that left sideline, but DJ was coming back to the football. Caleb threw it right on the money, hit DJ right in the hands. Tyreek Stevenson's in pretty tight coverage, but the timing of it, the fact that DJ Moore's coming back to the football, Caleb Williams' accuracy on the pass, it was just a really good play that you want to see in 7-on-7. The timing, anticipation, the throw. When I was writing down my notes, I'm like, that's a good play on all aspects. Like even for Tyreek Stevenson, he was right there. But DJ Moore just made a better play. It was a better throw that beat better coverage. So it just really it stood out to me for one of the 7-on-7 plays.
How about your worst?
Worst thing was, I would say in the team period, there was one play where Caleb threw a pass and it got knocked up into the air. And then you see Darnell Wright's kind of going over to try and knock it down. But then also Caleb Williams is going over there, and he's the one that eventually knocks down the pass. But for me, I was just like, man, Darnell Wright's a heavy man. If he somehow lands on Caleb Williams' foot or something like that, trying to knock down a pass in a team period, then, things could go wrong. So I just didn't like the sequence of how things were happening there. Credit to the defense for deflecting the pass. Obviously, they made a better play on that particular rep, but I just didn't like that. Hey, Caleb's going over there. So was a big man like Darnell Wright trying to knock down this pass. They ended up being fine, but I don't know. Maybe I just had like PTSD from something else, seeing Bears players go down in weird ways, but nothing ended up happening. But that would be my worst on there.
Mark, your best and worst of the day.
So I am going with the Caleb to DJ connection. We saw it a ton today. We've seen it a ton with Justin and DJ. What I really liked about it today is, DJ's running out routes and he's right at the sideline, and Caleb's throwing bullets right on the money. I get it. It's 7-on-7. There's no one in his face, and I'll get to my worst in a second, which is also about Caleb. But these were good. They're good throws. He's got a lot of velocity, and they're where they're supposed to be. I was talking to J-Mac, Jason McKee, for a second about it. He's hitting him on the shoulder upside, so he right. That's exactly where you want it. Turn and run with the football. You're just seeing some of the elite arm talent. Watching Caleb, that is super exciting. My other is the other side, which what you're also seeing is standard rookie stuff. He's holding on to the ball a lot still. It's very early, not a huge deal, but he's still holding on to it. He had a 2-play sequence today where he ran out of bounds, and then the next play he didn't want to do that again. Then he was picked off by Kevin Byard. Like that was a back-to-back sequence there, which I was happy that he threw the ball. Like let's I'd rather see it coming out than running out of bounds. But his day was mostly good, and then there was a bunch of stuff sprinkled. I thought that Keenan Allen too, if I a little long-winded here, but he was like, his press conference was one of my best actually. He was so honest. How long is it going to take to get up to speed with Caleb? He said, it's going to take some time. It takes middle of training camp. We'll start to understand each other. And there was just some good honesty going on in some of the pressers here. If you listen closely to Montez Sweat talking about Gervon Dexter, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, I think that also it's important to note with Keenan that he kind of gave us a timeline on how much he's actually been around, and he was around for a couple weeks before the OTA practices actually started, like when they can actually get out there and practice. And then he hadn't been there the last couple of weeks. So today was just real first practice with Caleb Williams going up against the defense. And I thought Caleb to Rome looked good today, and I thought Caleb to DJ looked good today. And Keenan was kind of the guy that didn't get a lot of targets. That's going to have to be something we all get used to, because they're not all going to get targets every practice, every game. that's a good problem to have. But today it just happened to be Keenan, and I don't think you should be surprised by it because he hadn't been here the last couple of weeks. So I think that probably had a little something to do with some of that honesty from Keenan answering some of those questions as well, because he hasn't really been here the last couple of weeks, as some of that chemistry has been built. In terms of my best, I'm going to put it on number 15, the rookie wide receiver out of Washington, Rome Odunze. I thought he had a good day. This is almost beyond today a little bit too. I've just been impressed, and I like what I'm hearing even more so than what I'm seeing. To hear Keenan Allen talk about that he's impressed with Rome, how he already sort of just knows where to line up, what routes to run. Like, he's not running the wrong routes. He's not lining up in the wrong place. He seems to understand the playbook already. Like, it reminds me of the things we started hearing about Darnell Mooney when he was a rookie, when all these things that you're almost expected to struggle with at the start when you're an NFL wide receiver, when you're a rookie wide receiver. It's like, oh, this guy just sort of gets it. He just sort of understands this stuff innately. He picks up on things. He's learning really fast. And then, oh, by the way, this isn't a 5th round pick. This is a top 10 pick. This is an elite talent that the Bears drafted, who checks all the boxes in terms of how he plays and what his character's like off the field. So that, to me, is an unbelievably good development for it still being June, to hear his teammates talk about him like that, because it is an indication to me that he'll probably be thrown into the fire right away and be expected to produce. And even though he's a top 10 pick, like, we see guys having to be eased into their rotation even in practice. And that's not the case. He's thrown in there with the starters right away. And yeah, we can take a look at this Keenan quote that we had on Rome Odunze today. He said, Rome looks great. He's a guy who stepped in. He's been with the ones right off the bat. He knows what he's doing, his responsibilities. That's huge. I also like to throw in, as much as we size these guys up and I like get my own eyes on them in the pre-draft process and all that stuff, it's not until you see them, one, at rookie minicamp, but those are all still rookies, but then especially when they're out there with the rest of the NFL players running around. Rome Odunze's big, man. He's bigger than I thought. Standing next to Keenan Allen, I think he's slightly bigger than Keenan Allen is. We know the sizes and we know the heights and the weights and all that stuff and how it's listed, but until you see kind of what they really look like out there on the field, that's when you can really get a glimpse of how they might hold up early on in their career. And he looks built and ready to go to me. And that is a phenomenal development.
It's interesting that you say his size, because yes, but to what stood out to me today was his speed. Dude's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he is that is a legit wide receiver, NFL talent, high level speed dude, in addition to his size. So that, I mean, I was like, okay, bud, and I'm also noticing chemistry developing, at least between Caleb and Rome and DJ. Not and I didn't see it as much, I guess, and with Keenan today too, where I'm not talking on the field. I'm talking just on the sidelines, talking about plays. They were right in front of us today, like, 10 feet. They were right there. And you could just see like a pretty animated conversation going on, which, again, not a huge deal. It's June the 4th, but I liked it. It seems like there's just, we keep on hearing about Caleb's leadership skills. Well, it was just on display, the way they were communicating right in front of us, and stood out to me.
Yeah, even in the 7-on-7 real quick, you guys, like, there was a completion where Caleb extended the play, rolled right, and he hit Rome. After the play was done, he kind of went over to him and was just talking to him a little bit about it. And it's like, maybe there was something that, they could have even done better to make sure that play actually translates to an actual game if they're in that type of situation in the future. But like what Mark was just saying, it's like you're seeing those little spurts of the leadership kind of coming from Caleb on the practice field right in front of us. So really good to see.
As for my worst of the day, just a 2-minute drill from the offense. I mean, you could always flip that to, great, the defense was great. That could be the best. But the ones had 2 series and couldn't even get a first down. And that's fine. I mean, like, that's an area where I think the defense definitely has an advantage over an offense. learning the system for the first time, rookie quarterback, all those excuses we want to make. It is one area of practice where not completely shocked when the defense wins the day. Last week, Caleb got him in field goal range, and the field goal was made. For what it's worth, the defense was whole today, other than Montez Sweat not doing team stuff. But that entire secondary was back, and I thought their 7-on-7 was really good against those guys. DJ getting open, Rome getting open, Caleb completing the passes. Really, the only blemish was the interception that he threw to Kevin Byard. So a lot of good stuff, and overall, I think it was a pretty solid day, and the best of worst.
We all silly like the mayor.